This show is produced by Don Yang. We're here to talk about the latest Raptors game you just watched. And tonight, your Raptors were defeated by the Charlotte Hornets, 125-93, and that brings the Raptors record to 32-26 on the season. Oh, Kyle. That is probably the last thing I wanted to see coming off an All-Star break. Remember, the Raptors came into All-Star break as one of the hottest teams in the league. I thought that this momentum, they were going to ride with it. They're 2-0 versus the Charlotte Hornets this year. They haven't had any trouble with the Hornets at all. Pascal Siakam's been absolutely incredible versus the Hornets. I think he's averaging like 24, 10, and 10 on like 60-something% shooting. Kelly Oubre Jr. has been absolutely awful. If you guys remember the last Hornets game, I got on him for being absolutely awful. And let me quickly look at his stats. Let's see if he shut me up this time. 8 for 14, 23 points. All right. So I can't talk about Kelly Oubre for another year. Kyle, what did you think about the game overall? This is, again, one of the worst losses of the season for the Raptors. Just draining. They didn't take the lead once.
Yeah, that was like Guru said, that was flat out embarrassing. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Like, it wasn't ever close. I think the Hornets started the game like on an 11-2 run. They never looked back. Like, the Raptors basically didn't get it within 10 for the entire game. One of the ugliest ones I've seen in a long time. And I think they were hot going into the break. It's worth noting they lost really in a really extreme fashion to the Pelicans. They again lost in really extreme fashion tonight. I don't know, maybe we can find like some similarities between those two games, but otherwise, like, I don't know if I have much to say. This is just a real ugly one.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. I was coming into this game again super, super, super confident. The Raptors were well represented during the All-Star break. You guys know by now Scotty Barnes took place in the weird format of the new Rising Stars Challenge. I'm not a big fan of it all that much, but Kyle, we'll get into that a bit later. Fred VanVleet was obviously the 3-point contest and the All-Star game. And who am I forgetting? Siakam probably should have been in the All-Star game, but
Precious,
I mean, it is what it is.
Rising star.
Precious. Yeah, Precious was a rising star. It was good. I mean, it was good to watch as a Raptors fan. And then now, they get off, I think it was like a full, like a 7-day break from when the season stopped. And then when it restarted, they got a full 7 days off. And now we're back. And we walk into the Charlotte Hornets, who the Raptors have absolutely destroyed in the last 2 games. And they took the brunt of the damage this time around. Your Raptors are still on a mental All-Star break. They're still on vacation. Mike, you are absolutely right. They are still on vacation. Looking at this game, Kyle, I guess the thing that probably pissed me off the most about the Hornets is they wanted this game so badly that all their starters were until the last minute. It was almost a 40-point win. Like, this must have been deliberate, no?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're kind of that type of team. To be honest, like, if it wasn't the Raptors, I would have been having fun tonight watching the Hornets. They're a really cool team.
Yeah.
They're like running up and down the floor. They're high flying. They're really creative. If this team was like in New York or LA, like a big market, they'd be front page news every single day. It's just they play in Charlotte. It's like arguably the smallest market in the whole league. No one really cares about them. But like, I don't know why they're into the last minute. I think the Raptors probably deserve it. Like, I don't even think that's like bad sportsmanship. Like, if you don't want to be like losing by 30, play better. I don't know what to say.
True.
If they want to stat pad, then fine. Like, stop them from stat padding. I don't like the Raptors miss OG. We should mention he's out, I believe, 6 to 8 weeks with a thumb injury.
Fractured finger. Yep.
Fred had an injury tonight, some sort of knock he played anyway. It was his birthday. Happy birthday, Fred. This is it's got to be one of the worst birthdays.
this is awful, man.
Losing by 30 on the road, first night of a back-to-back. Like, he has to wake up tomorrow morning. He's going to be a year older. That's always hard on people. He's waking up tomorrow morning a year older, coming off a 30-point loss to the Hornets. Yeah. Anyway, Fred, I hope Fred's doing all right. But in general, like, it was just a mess from the start. Siakam had a horrible game, and so like Fred is at least excused. I guess if I'm looking for a single positive, I think Scotty played really well, and he was really like he had a little something going with JT Thor, like he was kind of getting out at JT Thor. I like that, but
Who I like. I
otherwise,
like
like
JT Thor, by the way.
yeah. He's kind of like a Raptors type of guy. I figured like
Right?
they would have been going after him the second round. He's got that. He's
Mm-hmm.
got the physical profile at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't think of anything that I appreciated tonight. I guess Chris Boucher had an all right night, but had like a classic Boucher sequence where he like fumbles a great pass from Thad Young and then comes up the floor again and takes like or maybe it was a charge or like something. He had like another Chris Boucher sequence. Like there's almost nothing positive tonight. Yeah, this is a crazy one.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
it's awful.
incredible. Fred VanVleet minus 40. Like
Oh my
that is
goodness.
ugly.
On his birthday. He put a minus 40 on it. He put a 40 on his birth. Okay, no. That's just awful. I don't know what to say because Fred had an awful game. He had 8 points, 3 for 12 shooting. Scotty's the only guy that stands out in this game. Kem Birch had a single point. Siakam didn't play well, but again, Don, if we could pull up the thing you just had up for Siakam, flu-like symptoms. I think it was Louis Zatzman's tweet. Yeah, so Louis Zatzman, as you can see, the managing editor of Raptors Republic, he tweeted, Nick Nurse says Pascal had some flu-like symptoms this afternoon, but still decided to give it a go. And that go was not great. 3 for 13, 8 points. Usually, Kyle, one great thing about the Raptors is when one star doesn't play well, doesn't perform up to the task, the other guys step up. So if it's Pascal, you get Gary, who has a great game. If it's Gary, you get Fred, who has a great game. Nobody had a great game except for Scotty. And even Scotty, to be quite honest with you, there were some possessions defensively where I'm like, he just completely blanks out defensively. Like it's to the point where it's just like, holy shoot. Like, Scotty, where is the defensive focus? Like, and this has been happening all year, but again, I'm not too focused with that. I'm not going to harp on Scotty or anything like that. He had the second lowest plus minus out of the starters. He was a minus 24, which is awful. I mean, there was a couple pluses, Kyle. Malachi Flynn was a plus 4. Utah was a plus 3, even though he played 5 minutes. The funniest moment of the game, I think, was Utah getting fouled at the end of the game there. And Montrezl Harrell, like, I get it. Like, I get Montrezl Harrell's whole thing. Like, he's the enforcer. They talked about it at the end. He's the enforcer. He's the guy with all the energy. He's like the bodyguard of the team. I get it. Like, Charlotte, they also wanted a really good role man this year to help out with Lonzo. I think they were trying to get Jakob Poeltl, if I'm not mistaken, and they ended up with Montrezl Harrell, which isn't terrible. Montrezl is still a very good player. They didn't trade much for him, so that was good. And he played well. And I think that's the type of edge that Charlotte needs. They have a lot of young guys on that team. They need one veteran who's just going to come in there and play his heart out, and that's what Montrezl does. Speaking
Honestly,
of energy,
like, the Raptors could have used a Montrezl tonight. The
yeah,
Raptors came out completely flat. They had no like. I hate to do this kind of stuff because it's like I'm not in the locker room. I'm not even at the game, so like I'm not in the stands. But it seems like the bench is so dead sometimes. Like even in the second quarter, like they cut the lead to 11, and there was like a nice little like run there, and James Borrego had to take a timeout. Like the Hornets were on their heels a little bit, and the bench like kind of slow clapping, like it's like a golf tournament or something. Like get up, start waving towels. Like that's the kind of stuff that the teams need sometimes. Like if you're not going to be in the game, I get that you can't, like, this is not really the personality of the team. Like Delano Banton is incredibly chill, like so is Malachi Flynn. Like that's kind of the Raptors don't go for these like big ego excitement guys, but it would be nice sometimes to like get some reinforcement. Like it seems like the bench is so dead, and I'm not even talking about their play. I'm talking about sitting down.
The energy is terrible, and it sucks because you really notice it as a Raptors fan because the energy levels on the bench have been so high the last 5, 6, 7 years. Hence the whole term bench mob. It wasn't just on the court; it was off the court. All the energy that they were giving the team. Very quiet night. There wasn't much to cheer for the bench, so I give them a little bit of a break. But at the same time, I mean, that little nudge you can get from the bench can really help. Going into this game, Kyle. The strengths of Charlotte. Okay, this is probably one of the best transitional teams in the league. You have probably the most dangerous, if not top 5 most dangerous open floor decision makers in LaMelo Ball. One of the best improvisational guys in the league. He does things that just sometimes don't make sense. He can see passes that 99% of players just can't see. The whole thing with the Raptors was going into this game, you wanted to slow the game down. And they tried it in the first quarter, and it worked for a little bit. And then Charlotte sped the game up, and they kind of just ran the Raptors out of the building. I mean, for LaMelo Ball specifically, the Raptors did have a lot of defensive options for him. He didn't shoot well. I mean, he hasn't shot well, I think, in any of the 3 games that the Raptors have played him. So, but the thing with Charlotte is this isn't the Charlotte team from last year, Kyle, like where you can just kind of shut down LaMelo Ball, their primary ball handler, primary playmaker, and then the rest of the team's just going to fall apart. No. This is a totally different Charlotte team. They have talent up and down this roster. And this is a team that's going to be right with Toronto in that, 6 to 9 range for the rest of the year. So were you shocked at how Charlotte could kind of impose their will at what they do best?
See, like, I'm not necessarily shocked. The only reason I'd be shocked is because they played Charlotte so well earlier in the year, so it's a little surprising. But Charlotte has a lot of good playmakers, good decision makers on the floor, and they really abused the Raptors' aggressiveness tonight. Like aggressiveness helping at the rim and aggressiveness just off of the pick and roll in general. Like it seemed like the Hornets, especially at the beginning of the game, were constantly one pass away from a wide open 3. Like sometimes it's the rotations are a little bit behind. It takes 2-3 swing passes to get the defense in rotation, and then there's an open 3 somewhere. The Raptors were constantly giving up open 3s off of the first pass, which was it was just ugly. And the worst part is that when the Raptors were getting stops, the Hornets were swarming to get back in transition, and the Raptors couldn't get anything going in transition, and their half-court offense is struggling. Their half-court offense is really bad right now, and we criticized the Thad Young move. I thought Thad played all right tonight, but it's going to be even worse with OG out because the spacing is so screwed up in these half-court sets. And Thad isn't a floor spacer. He's a good decision maker. He's a good playmaker, but you can't plant Thad in the corner like you could, I don't know, maybe a shooter that you would have picked up at the deadline, right? So, OG's going to be out these 6 to 8 weeks. Thad's going to step up. I mean, I don't actually think Thad is filling the OG role. It's more like Scotty will take some of OG's shots and defensive assignments, and then Thad, everyone will slide up a level in the rotation. But this is going to be ugly. I don't think that they have the shooters to really play the way they want offensively. They just don't have the spacing. And I don't know. The Hornets really packed the paint, and it's the same thing the Pelicans did the other night. And both times the Raptors lost by 40, an average of 40 type thing. So this might be the recipe. It could be a really ugly stretch coming up, but it could also just be random.
Yeah, it could be random. Today's Friday, February 25th, and on February 7th, so just a few weeks ago, the Raptors beat the Hornets pretty handily, 116-101, and that was in the middle of their win streak. I mean, they beat the Bulls before that, the Hawks, the Heat a couple times, the Bulls twice, the Hawks twice. Right before that, again, was the Hornets. They were in the middle of a pretty good win streak all the way up until the All-Star break. If you guys remember, the last game before the All-Star break was the Minnesota Timberwolves game. They did lose the Pelicans and the Nuggets game, which kind of ended their win streak, but I felt like the momentum was still there for Toronto. Stylistically, I think Toronto matches up very well with Charlotte. I know it's weird to say after they lost so convincingly in this game, but I'm going to be honest. If you were to ask me going into this game, who had the advantage, roster-wise and stylistically, I would say Toronto does. And again, 2-0. I'm going into this game, and I don't know. I'm gonna be totally honest. Kyle, I was gonna say Oren. Why was I gonna say Oren? I don't know, Kyle. For me, Charlotte is a team that I think can make some noise at the end of this. Montrezl Harrell for me was exactly what this team needed, not just from an attitude perspective, an attitude check that he gives them, but he fits that team perfectly. He's averaging 18 points and 8 rebounds coming into this game. not after. Coming into this game, he was averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, and then he had a very good game, Montrezl Harrell, where he finished with 20 points, 9 for 12, 20 points, 10 rebounds. Like that's all you can ask from a few assists. And then what he did, obviously, at the end there versus Utah. I don't know how long, Kyle, we can talk about how bad this game looked. Like I said, you put it beside probably the Cleveland game on Boxing Day as the worst game of the season. Whenever we're getting tweets from NBA TV saying Mason Plumlee was in his bag and and it's against the Toronto Raptors, it's not good. I don't know how Ken Birch let Mason Plumlee do this. I genuinely do not have a clue. This is Mason Plumlee. Remember, I'm a Duke Blue Devils fan, Kyle. I mentioned this a lot, so I naturally have to be a Plumlee fan, not just Mason, Miles as well. And I'm sorry, man. Like if I'm seeing a tweet that says Mason Plumlee's in his bag and it's versus Toronto, something's going very, very badly. Let's quickly talk about the OG injury, really quick, because we can't talk about this absolute shit show for 30 minutes, 40 minutes like we usually do with some of these Raptors games. Let's talk about the OG injury and what it means for Toronto. Fractured finger, right? I'm not 100% sure, Kyle, if the overwhelming opinion amongst Raptors fans and the media was that he fractured it just like the practice just before, because
he was getting work done on it like pre All-Star weekend. Like he was getting taped up on the sideline. I think he probably either like sprained it at the practice or just decided to like get the is it a surgery or is he just out, right? Is it a surgery?
I think they're just monitoring it. I don't even know if they've decided whether it's going to be a surgical procedure done on his finger or anything like that. But Josh Lewenberg from TSN, you see the tweet here. He says Nick Nurse clarifies that Anunoby's finger had been bothering him for a while, played through soreness before All-Star, and they were hoping some rest over the break would help it heal. Got an X-ray yesterday, which revealed a fracture, and he will get a second opinion from a specialist. So hopefully that second opinion doesn't mean surgery. I mean, I'm hoping, because at the end of the day, if the Raptors go through an injury and it just plummets them down into that play-in mix where it really did look like the Raptors at one point were going to get to that 4th, 5th seed range, it's looking murky now because OG is your 3rd or 4th most important player on that team. And yeah, like Josh Lewenberg said, there's going to be a second opinion from a specialist, Kyle. And what do you think this means for Toronto? Do you think they could have used an OG tonight? Maybe, I don't know.
They could use OG every night. We're kind of critical of OG here. I think Raptors fans in general are kind of critical of OG because it's like his game isn't very polished at times. He's like doesn't have the tightest dribble, whatever. But like everyone knows he's a tremendous role player. Like he's one of the 10 best role players in the NBA. Like they need him literally every single night, and they're gonna miss him. Like the reason we're critical of it is like I don't personally see the vision where it's like he's the next NBA superstar, but I do already see the vision that he's like the best role player in the NBA type thing. Like they need him every night. He's a great shooter. He's a great defender. And the good part about having all these lengthy guys, like you can kind of make up for defensively. You have guys who are close enough approximations of OG, like when you come up against like the Jason Tatums, it's like, hey, throw Siakam at him because OG would normally have that assignment. Like we can figure that part out. The issue is the spacing. Like they just don't have a guy in the rotation who can fulfill the spacing requirements that OG does offensively. And I really have no idea what the plan is going forward. Like maybe it means this is like the Malachi Flynn month. I think he won Rookie of the Month last March. Maybe he's Mr. March. Who knows? Like they're going to need something. But I will say in general, tonight to me is on Nick Nurse. Like all of the players, like the Hornets were just better prepared. They seem better rested, which is a product of Nick Nurse, like having played his guys into the ground before the All-Star break. And like the Hornets, who are a younger team, like the Raptors are the youngest team by age, but like Siakam and Fred VanVleet are NBA champions. They've gone on long playoff runs. Like those guys aren't young dudes. Like the core of the other team is LaMelo Ball, is in his 2nd year in the NBA, and like a whole bunch of guys. Like they have a rapper, they have Plumlee. Like those guys aren't like NBA vets. Like those guys have been bouncing around the league for a while, or like they're not. Those aren't locked in veterans like Toronto has. Like the Raptors should be the team that's more prepared to come in after the All-Star break, lock in, and get ready for a playoff run. They just weren't.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't seem prepared. The starters just seemed like their head was in a totally different space. I don't like this because I feel like for Toronto, they're kind of prone. Not, I don't want to say prone, but when games kind of get out of hand, 20, 30 points, it's almost like as a Raptors fan this season, you're like, okay, let's just chalk this up. Like it is what it is. Let's just, rest who you can. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know if rest was the best option for the starters in this game. You're coming off a full break. I get it. I get Fred was in the All-Star game. Look, he played 9 minutes, to be honest. Pascal got a break. He had nothing to do with All-Star weekend. Scotty, yeah, sure. Whatever. The rest of the team, it's like there's no excuse for you to come out and just give away a game completely. Like this was awful. And like you said, the biggest issue when you lose an OG Anunoby who is a career 39% three-point shooter, not shooting as well this year, but when he's on the court for the Raptors, he's one of their go-to three-point shooters. You lose that spacing. William Liu had a really funny tweet, and it was really straightforward, but I found it funny where he was just like, you know what? The Raptors have 5 guys on the court right now. They're all 6'9", and they're all non-shooters. And I was thinking to myself, that is very sad. Like that is a very sad indictment of where Toronto is. I think the lack of depth now is going to hurt them a lot, Kyle. Myself, Oren, you, Aiden, we all talked about it all season long. The lack of depth is going to hurt this team when an injury hits. It's not Pascal who went out. It's not Fred. It's OG. If you lose Pascal, of course, you lose probably the best player on the Raptors, one of the better playmakers, a guy who's been playing at an all-NBA level recently. But each of these guys is so crucial to the team's success that it's like, damn, you lose OG. I mean, the defense isn't really a problem. You still have plus defenders everywhere, but you already had a shooting problem. Now there's more of a shooting problem. So what do you do now? I don't know what the solution is, Kyle. I agree with you. Maybe you just try out new things. You spend the next maybe couple games. They've got, I think it's the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. You've got the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. And now Nick Nurse probably just has to try new things. Like you said, maybe it's Malachi Flynn. Who knows? I'm not 100% sure what Nick Nurse is going to do. We've seen it before. He has a very short leash for his bench guys. Svi, I feel like I haven't seen Svi in like 3 months. So I don't know what's happening or what's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I guess the most important news now for Toronto is what is going to happen to OG Anunoby. Let's quickly do Taxman, Kyle. And after that, I guess we'll just get into the All-Star break a little bit because I know some people in the comments want to hear some thoughts on the All-Star weekend and what we thought, even though the All-Star game kind of saved the entire thing. But I'm not going to give it all away. But Taxman, Kyle, are we giving it to Scotty in a complete, meltdown of a game? I don't even know if a Raptor deserves it. Like, yes, Scotty had a great game, but the Raptors got destroyed. So what are we doing, Kyle?
I don't know. I think a night like tonight, it might be Terry Rozier as the Taxman. He was plus 46. He was plus 46. Okay.
It's insane.
In 32 minutes, being plus 46 is like, that's like a, like the Jokic level of on-off efficiency type thing, like higher than that. He had 23 and 9, whatever. I don't know. I don't know if like Scotty had a great game, but he can't, like, I don't care how many points they score. They lost by 30. It has to be a Hornet. I can't justify it. Like, Terry Rozier, not that the Raptors are watching this, but the Hornets are definitely not watching this, like even less likely to watch than the Raptors are. But if you're out there, I respect your game. You had a good game, and you honestly ate the Raptors alive tonight. You deserve this.
He definitely did. 10 for 16, 23 points. Like you said, plus 46. That is unheard of for a player. I think Fred one time was in the plus 40s earlier this year. 23 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds. I would have said maybe Montrezl Harrell gets a shout, but he played 23 minutes. He was a +1. Had an impact, but I mean, the starters really ran this game for the Charlotte Hornets. Shout out to Kelly Oubre as well, who shut me up completely, silenced me after I got at him in the last Hornets Raptors game, and he comes back and has a good one. So we're going to give it to Terry Rozier. He is the Taxman of the night. And as you guys know, it is now February. It's the end of February. It's going to be March before you know it. Short month. Still in tax season. We're going to be saying it till the end of the year. I know some of you guys, your siblings, your parents are telling you, just file your taxes already, man. What are you waiting for? You're always that last person in your family. I know you are. So now you have to contact Can-Am CPA. They are a full-service small business accounting and tax firm. They have a great staff, super experienced, that can help you navigate through tax season like Kyle navigates on the high post at the Raptors Republic tournament. See, Kyle? See, that's really good. Can-Am can also provide you personal tax preparation and can recover all the refunds you're entitled to. So reach out to Can-Am. Guys, they have great Google reviews. You see it at the top of the screen. You can call VJ Verma at 416-243-2912. That is Can-Am Tax. Thank you to Can-Am Tax for sponsoring the show. Kyle, All-Star Weekend started off on Friday. We're going to go day by day. First of all, what did you think about the new format of the Rising Stars Challenge? I think it was 7 teams, 7 teams, right? Was it 4 teams or 7 teams?
I think it was 4 teams. 4 teams with 7 guys.
Players. Yeah, that's what it was. 4 teams, 7 players on each. What did you think? I mean, I can say what I thought, but I'll let you go first.
I kind of loved specifically the Rising Stars portion of it. I kind of loved it. I like seeing the G League guys. I think it's good for the NBA. Honestly, I'm of the opinion that the NCAA, the product is awesome, but that's just pretty evil organization. I'm really happy that guys are going the G League route. And honestly, if it means that more players go the G League route because you get to go to All-Star Weekend, you get to hang out with all these young NBA players, I'm all down for it. I think there should actually be an entire team of G League players. You have your G League Ignite team, and then you have I guess I don't even know what the themes were really this year. I was trying to pick through the themes. There didn't really seem to be many in terms of there were 4 teams. There was really no coherence in terms of theme per team. But I like the idea of it. I'm kind of all down with seeing, because the appeal of the All-Star game is how would these 2 players play together? And so it's interesting to see beyond just all the sophomores and all the rookies playing. It's what does LaMelo look like playing with Scotty, and what does Scotty look like playing against Precious? That kind of stuff is fun. I'm down with that.
Yeah, the Rising Stars Challenge. At first, I was like, you know what? This is great. I mean, we get to see G League Ignite. I love it. Bring all the G League Ignite guys. Scoot Henderson. I don't know if you guys are following the NBA draft. If you look ahead all the way to 2023, I know Raptors fans aren't really used to that because guess what, guys? We're spoiled. We don't really look at the draft all that often until we have to, because the Raptors are usually not the Orlando Magic. Not the New Orleans Pelicans. We're not that awful of a team. We haven't been that awful of a team for quite a while. I mean, minus the season that didn't really count, Kyle. But we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, the Rising Stars Challenge was fun. I mean, on one side, I was like, this is kind of boring again because, like you said, there was no theme to it at all. It was just okay, just put all these guys together. Rookie sophomore way back in the day was always fun. I mean, I can just think of memories off my head. The Dion Waiters, Tim Hardaway Jr. back to back when they were just trading baskets. That was so much fun. Kyrie Irving dropping Brandon Knight. And then it went to Team USA versus Team World, which was also fun because you got to see
they had to scrap that because Team World was just bodying Team USA every year. And those boys in Cleveland aren't having America losing. Maybe in in New York it's fine if America loses, but Cleveland couldn't have America lose on their own floor. They had to change up the format. Because Team World, they were just Team World was there were a couple of years there where Team World was bodying Team USA.
Yep.
It wasn't close.
Yep, the Luka years, yeah. So yeah, like we said, there was 28 players, 12 rookies, 12 sophomores, and 4 G League Ignite players. Guys, do your research on Scoot Henderson. This kid is supposed to be top 3 in the 2023 draft, and I love that. I love the fact that he's not eligible for the 2022 draft, but it's almost like you get more representation out there of what you get to see, future draft picks. Obviously Team Isaiah, I think it was, because I think it was a Team Isaiah Thomas's team. He had Precious, Halliburton, if I remember, Anthony Edwards. I think it was Desmond Bain. Scotty Barnes, which we talked about this, before, but I really loved how they put him with LaMelo Ball. That was fun to watch. They were also with Scoot Henderson, Davion Mitchell, I think, Bones Highland. There's a couple of good players on that. But, I mean, pros and cons. I liked it. I didn't love it. I loved, again, the fact that there were so many players that were taking part. But you got to have some sort of theme with it, man. Like, you can't just throw players together and go, okay, we're going to make 4 teams of 7, and it's going to be a mini tournament. All right, good luck. Enjoy. I mean, it is what it is. Scotty didn't play that all that great. I thought he was going to absolutely dominate. He didn't. And then Precious was not like passing the ball, which I loved. This is going to be that was going to be his one opportunity, Kyle, to just be like, you know what, guys, this is my time to shine. Especially when he looked off a wide open Desmond Bain, but we're not going to talk about that either.
And he was sitting there with his hands out. Like he was sitting there with his hands out.
Kyle, I can still imagine Desmond Bain in that Cleveland arena, just still like just waiting, just frozen. Precious didn't pass that ball. He did airball it, but I mean,
I think we should move on to the second day. But I think as a proposal, 4 teams, G League Ignite, best American like rookies and sophomores, best African rookies and sophomores, best European rookies and sophomores. Because there's enough talent out of Europe and Africa at this point that like you can put together. It's okay. Look, if the European team just gets like waxed, it's fine. That's okay because they used to do African World versus America for a while and they lost really badly until the World gets. That's like part of the reason that you do that is like Europeans or Africans, if you're like trying to watch basketball from somewhere not in America, like you see like, oh, there's a whole team of people like coming where I'm coming from who can make it to the NBA to a certain extent. Like that means something to people. I think that it should be more than just like Isaiah Thomas, who I actually really don't care for Isaiah Thomas. But that's a whole other issue. He was really bad to Magic.
Yeah, he was. Let's move on to Saturday. And Saturday is always the fun day. Friday is almost like the warm-up. Ooh, wow.
Thank you, Guru.
Comes through. Thank you so much, Guru, for the super chat, $6.99. He says, great job as always. How many games before you can assess that? And if it was worth giving up the pick. So we're going to completely stop what we're doing because that's what we do during super chats, guys. You guys, we just stop everything we're doing. We're going to talk about Saturday, the All-Star weekend. We're going to get back to it. But Guru, this is a really good question. Kyle, are you giving Thad the rest of the season as an assessment? Are you giving him the next 5 games, 10 games? I don't know how long I can say before. It's just tough because it's like the Raptors are so good with draft picks, but they're also so good when they're not in great draft position. So I don't know if it really matters as much. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, my thing was always like everyone kind of sold it. Like, I don't know, we got a whole bunch of people working for MLSC, like on Twitter. Like everyone kind of sold it as like they only moved down 10 picks, which is assuming the Raptors like kind of stayed where they were and the Pistons didn't improve, which I actually think the Pistons got better. Like the Pistons are trying to at least win a couple games on the stretch here, and there are other teams around them. Like the Magic are now the worst team in the NBA. So the Pistons are now the 32nd pick. The Houston Rockets are tanking. Like we talked about this before. There are other teams that are going to, like the Pistons are going to leap. So it's not 10 picks. This could be up to like 18 picks that they drop. And I get it. Like, okay, the difference between like 21 and 31 isn't that extreme, but it also means not getting OG Anunoby or Pascal Siakam. Like those are the guys the Raptors draft in the 20s. Like there's still a big difference between players drafted in the 20s and in the early 30s. I get that it's only like 10 picks, but it still matters. As far as Thad, like I don't know, but it's going to take a long time. And I actually feel kind of bad for him because this is going to be a really rough stretch. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him with OG out. And like, I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to look super pretty, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the OG injury changes a lot. I'm not sure. I think you wait until the end of the year. You kind of see, I mean, we're obviously expecting OG to be back late, super late in the season. And then you kind of let Dad settle back into his role. He looked good, I guess, in a couple games right before the All-Star game. He looked like he fit. Again, this is a very, very smart guy. We've talked about this before. Like, I genuinely mean, like, this is a genius. Like, he's academically smart, and he's also has very high basketball IQ. Like, we're talking, you look at his draft profile, guys. I've talked about this before. Way back when with Georgia Tech, the guy's a 4.0 GPA guy. Like, he's a genius. He's a smart guy. So Dad isn't going to have that much trouble, I think, kind of settling in. in the role that he was initially promised. But again, like Kyle said, I don't know if a bigger role is going to look great for him. Again, he's a 15-year veteran. This guy didn't just get here. So we're going to have to see. I mean, it's probably going to take the full season, Guru. I know you probably didn't want to hear that, but it's probably going to take the full season to fully evaluate what that can do for the Raptors and maybe in the future as well. Where were we? Saturday, All-Star Weekend.
New skills, new look skills comp.
Yes.
Kind of mad. Yes. I don't know about you personally. Like, it's fine. I don't really love it ending on a half-court shot. I think it's kind of stupid. I liked when it was like just a regular 3 after the course. It's a little frustrating, but it's fine how they break it up, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of a nothing event. I appreciate that they did.
It's almost like filler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the prelude to the 3-point contest and then the dunk contest, which we'll get into.
Yeah,
which was atrocious. But I will say I appreciated how they did the teams. Like, I like how there's team Antetokounmpo, team like Cavs or whatever, home team, and team rookies. That was cool because then it's like you got to weave storylines into this kind of stuff. Like, exactly, I want to know to cheer for. I got to be like, let's go Rooks. I'm going for the Rooks, and this is like their identity as a team, or like, oh, I'm going for the Cavs because they're the home team, or whatever. Like these Antetokounmpo brothers are like so cool. Like, that kind of stuff is interesting. I just showed up, like, watch Team Isaiah. It's like, I don't know, any of these guys are like related to one another. I didn't see them get drafted. I think they got picked in private. Like, you know.
Yeah. Mark says something funny. He says,
"Wake up."
He says, "Wake up, guys. This is not the All-Star." And I'm assuming he meant to say anymore. This is the real score. Yeah, we moved on, Mark. We moved on. You're going to have to kind of rewind a bit. We've talked as much as we could about the Raptors Hornets game, and we are now on to All-Star Weekend recap. Yeah, I mean, another thing about that is, again, the theme is what kept me interested. Friday, I felt like I was moving in and out because I was just like, what am I really watching? It's just a bunch of young guys scrimmage running. There's team rookies, team Cavaliers, team Antetokounmpos, which I think is something they're probably going to stick with in terms of having a theme for it. You know what I do miss, Kyle? I do miss shooting stars. You remember when they used to get the WNBA player, like the veteran? I remember Chris Bosh used to be in it. Like, it felt like every other year. They used to get Lisa Leslie in it way back when, Candace Parker, Sue Bird. Some of the best WNBA players. I don't know why they took that out. That was super fun. The half-court shot was always fun. They used to get a legend in it. I think Dominique Wilkins hit it one year. I don't know why they took that out. I have absolutely no clue. But again, I didn't mind it. Skills challenge was fun. You had the home team, Team Cavs, and then Team Antetokounmpos. It was all right. I didn't mind it. 3-point contest, though. We got another Raptor. Fred VanVleet took place and took part in this 3-point contest, and the winner was Karl-Anthony Towns. Wow. I mean, I know he's a very good 3-point shooter. I never really thought centers adjusted well to the 3-point contest. Just the whole, grab the ball, shoot it, and getting into that rhythm. But hey, Karl-Anthony Towns won it. What did you think about Fred's performance, Kyle? And what did you think overall about the 3-point contest?
I think he outperformed Lowry, which was, I think that's a win. It was weird. He was like the number one favorite to win. I think, like, I don't know really why that was. I mean, he's a good shooter, but he's not like that. I don't think he's the best shooter in the NBA type thing. So I don't know. But we'll talk about it more in the dunk contest, which we should get into right now. But it's like the best shooters aren't in this competition, and the best dunkers aren't in the dunk contest. What's going on here? I don't understand. And
I'm not going to lie to you.
One thing on Cat, like, he's the best big man shooter of all time. Like, Dirk won a championship as the number one option on his team, shooting like, close to 40, 50, 90 type thing, like 50, 40. Like, Cat is by no measure the best big man shooter of all time. I like Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's interesting as he's an interesting skill set. He's interesting as a player and as a man, but like, it's kind of really disrespectful to Dirk. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know. And Cat doesn't get that much credit, I think, when people think about the shooting big men in the league. I mean, he's a 40% career 3-point shooter.
He's a shooter.
41% this year.
He is a good shooter.
Yeah, 41% this year, 39 the year before, 41, 40, 42 in 2017. Like, he's been hovering around 40, if not higher than 40% for the last 5 years or so. So Cat, super cool to watch a big man win it. The dunk contest. Oh my goodness, Kyle, the dunk contest. I genuinely thought Jalen Green was going to absolutely demolish this dunk contest. I had some faith. I had some faith in Obi Toppin. I had some faith in some of the guys there. Juan Toscano Alexander. I was like, what
Anderson.
the hell is he doing here?
I
But I was
like
like, whatever.
JTA. He's like from the
Yeah.
East Bay. He like grew up watching the Warriors. Like that's a good story. I'm down with that type of story. So
Where do I start, Kyle? Jalen Green, did he even make a single dunk?
do you see
What happened?
Kareem walk out? Have you seen that
Yeah,
clip?
I saw
Kareem walked. He was like, "Enough of this," and then stood up and walked away. You know how hard that's like. Oh my god! But I think
Oh my
they
goodness.
have to bring back a timer. This is like watching a guy take like 8 attempts before he lands like a 6 out of 10 dunk. This is bad for the league. I don't agree that the 3-point contest should be last. I think that that's like they're still just open shooting open threes. Like it's not that interesting either.
Yeah, it's not.
But just put on the 90-second timer or whatever it was, and like the problem with the dunk contest is that like everyone wants to see something that they have never ever seen before on the first try, and that's impossible. You can't deliver that to people, and the promises are too high, and 2016 will never be touched. But like you can still do better than they currently are. There has to be some, like, I don't know, maybe even John Collins, I guess it was like 2 years ago, he brought out like a prop plane. He crashed. At least that's a shareable moment. Like he blew the plane up. That was awesome. I don't even care that the dunk was kind of bad. At least it's memorable. Can you remember a single thing from the dunk contest this year other than like everyone was pretty bad and the announcing team was mocking it?
It felt like every great idea that these guys had that didn't have to do with props, it took them 3 years to complete the dunk. So I was like, you know what? I'm already not interested. Obi Toppin did have some good ideas, but it's like he didn't even flush the one dunk I wanted him to flush through where it would have looked clean. I mean, it is what it is. Jalen Green, maybe you should have just waited, man. That guy's hops are out of this world. So I was thinking this guy can do whatever he wants on the court going into the dunk contest, and he just flat out just embarrassed himself. Obi Toppin wins.
You know what they need? These guys need you need to bring in like a choreographer. I'm telling you right now, if I'm Cole Anthony, what I'm doing is during the commercial break, I'm taking out the Tims and I'm lacing them up, and then you tell like the broadcast team, "Oh, cut to this," and be like during the break, and it's him lacing up the Tims, and then he dunks with the Tims instantly. It took him 3 minutes to put the Tims on, which is like fine. They're boots; they take a long time to get on, but it's like you're just killing the whole momentum of the dunk. They shut the whole event down so we could put on a pair of shoes. That looked awful.
And Cole Anthony, I mean, you could call me a hater for this, but I just get very like cringe vibes from him sometimes. Like I feel like he's just too much. Like what he does in front of the camera, like it's just all too much. Like Cole, just relax a bit, man. Like him, like the way they presented the Tims, like I get it. The whole theme behind it, the idea behind it was cool. But it's like I would have loved for them to do something like what you said, do a whole camera cut to him behind the scenes with the shoes. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was like, you know what? I was coming here to enjoy myself, and all I got were Jalen Grimm front rim, dunks the entire time. I'm out. He's like, I'm done.
I think
can't do this anymore.
I think the problem with Cole, and it's like kind of the same feeling I have with Steph and Clay to a certain extent, I guess kind of Gary, it's like these guys' dads are in the NBA. It's interesting. It's like kind of weird to be like, it's like inauthentic to be like pretending that you're like grew up in New York. Like you grew up everywhere. You were like your dad's a multimillionaire. It's just weird. Like I don't know. It's just weird. Like it's the same thing with Clay. Those guys grew up so privileged. Like Steph and Clay, their parents are in the NBA. Yeah. It's like they just seem weird sometimes. They're kind of corny.
Shout out to Carmelo H Drama on Twitter. Yasmin, she mentioned something that was very similar to what you just said. A lot of the NBA players nowadays, if they're not, sons of former NBA players or sons of athletes or sons of, some of them are sons of Olympic athletes, they come from like no one's really coming from, I don't want to.
No, like lower income backgrounds. We shouldn't dance around it. It's just tough.
No one is. I mean, most kids are coming from most of these teenagers. They're coming from middle class to high class backgrounds. I mean, it's just I was trying to find my way to like Euro step around it, but I mean,
No,
it's
no.
the truth. It is what it is, and I think nowadays you look at the league and it's like now you have your Cole Anthonys and your Jalen Greens, and it's not like the stories of way back when guys were grinding their heads off just to get a look from the league in
And
college or
that's
whatever.
not to say like the league's in bad hands. I think the league's in a better place than it's ever been. I think as a brand,
Mhm.
it's stronger than it's ever been. But that's why we have respect for Fred VanVleet, because like he worked his ass off. Like Clay, I'm sure you don't become a shooter like that without working your ass off. But when your dad's in the NBA, the resources that you have available to you at your disposal, like you have all the best shooting camps, you have the money to go to the best AAU team and travel around, all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. Like you don't have if you don't have like the means. So it's just a different league. It was a different like I don't know.
Totally. Let's move on. All-Star Saturday. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Kyle, what are you giving it out of 10?
Like I don't know. I think if I wasn't a if I wasn't a Raptors fan and cheering for Scotty, that's like a solid 2. I mean, if
Okay.
this isn't like a 2 or a 1? What's the 1?
Yeah,
It's the worst I've seen in a
that's
long,
true.
long time.
That's true. The one is I'm probably with you. Yeah. Sunday, the All-Star game, the climax of All-Star weekend where the best players in the league come together and play basketball. And this was probably the highlight of the entire weekend. It was a lot of fun. The way the game ended, the way LeBron was making his return to Cleveland. Um, Everything was fun. That one guy who can shoot the ball better than anybody that this universe has ever seen, Stephen Curry. He did things I've never seen before. The man is just pulling out from like half court logo. It was just weird. He wasn't missing at one point. It was the only thing I think during the entire All-Star weekend, Kyle, that actually made me stand up on my feet and go, "What the hell am I watching?" Shout out to Stephen Curry and LeBron. They really held together this All-Star weekend because it genuinely. I was telling my friend, I was like, you know what? If this All-Star game isn't great, man, this might be one of the worst All-Star weekends ever. Like it just straight up, like it just might. Kyle, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, I mean, like Team LeBron, I don't know. Every year, Team LeBron is so stacked, and I don't know what the deal is. I think it's
Like
like
he always
the
gets
guy.
Luca and
Yeah,
all
the
these
guy
like
who drafts against Team LeBron, I think, is like they only draft like once every like it's like KD drafts like once every 2 or 3 years, or Giannis like is his first time drafting type thing. It's like
yeah
they're picking like, oh, let me get Chris Middleton on my team. He's my friend. Like I need Kyrie, that kind of thing. Like LeBron is kind of ruthless. He just picks like the best players,
yeah.
and he wants to win the game. That's what like I really respect LeBron for that
I
reason. It's
love it.
like he wants to win the All-Star game so bad. He'll leave his like friends on the board. He doesn't care who he picks. Like he just wants to like. And I gotta say, his roster balance, and he did a bad job with the Lakers. We can maybe mention that. Like, didn't do a great job constructing the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers roster, but does like a great job construct. Like, there's always an adequate amount of spacing. He gets like the right amount of bigs. He has the like he's got good defensive wings, like that he knows are gonna like try hard late in the end of games. Like he picks Giannis every year because he's like this guy's gonna work his ass off late in games.
Right.
So I don't know. That's like it's kind of like a legacy moment for LeBron. It's like I don't think he'll lose in one of these ever.
Yeah, I don't think he will either. I mean, two guys from Akron, Ohio, just absolutely took this, game to a whole nother level. Curry had 50 points, 16 threes, 48 of his 50 were from beyond the arc. It sounds crazy. Like this literally sounds like something you would hear on NBA 2K. Yeah, it was a really fun game. Team LeBron, I think, won the first quarter. Team Durant won the second quarter. I think the third quarter was tied. So I don't know what they do in terms of like the whole charity thing if it's tied. And then obviously Team LeBron won the fourth quarter in a LeBron game winner. Don, is there any way we can possibly get that LeBron shot again? It
I
was a
also
lot
think
of
like
fun to watch.
it's worth mentioning that the script played out so well. Like you could never have one charity be like shut out. That's too ruthless to be like the Cleveland Food Bank gets $0 because Team LeBron was too dominant.
Right?
But like it's like I don't know how it worked out so perfectly. It's like each team gets a quarter, they split the third. Like I don't know. I kind of like I'm not a big conspiracy guy, But like I kind of have my like conspiracy goggles on for that. It's like how come they split so evenly? How come things worked out so well? Like I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. It's funny though, because Steph Curry was booed all weekend long. If you remember, like even like before the All-Star game when he was just showing up on camera or anything like that, he was getting booed. I mean, it's in Cleveland. People remember the Cleveland Golden State kind of saga that took over the league for a few years. That was fun. But that's, I guess, the main reason. And it's funny because, Steph ended up, taking all that booing and just releasing that energy. And Steph received 11 of the 12 votes for All-Star Game MVP. I love how the All-Star Game MVP is named after the late Kobe Bryant. You got to love that. And yeah, it was great. You could see the Warriors tweet there. 50 points, 16 threes, All-Star MVP. The result, $108,000 donated to the Cleveland Metro School District, courtesy of Steph Curry and Curry Brand. That is awesome. All-Star Game, great. What would I give it out of 10? I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8. Kyle, what about you?
Like, I think it's worth noting that like the Elam ending, like the playing to a score,
way better.
It's kind of the purest form of basketball. Like if you, Oren, and I, and Aiden will bring Aiden along, even though he's probably gonna whoop our asses because he's like the nicest of all of us, I imagine. Like if we all played a game, we would be playing to 11. It's not like put 20 on the clock and we're gonna play till the game ends. Like it's always like you play to a certain score. Most basketball games are timed. Like it's like let's play to 11, let's play to 21. So I don't know. It's kind of nice. I get that it screws up like a lot of historical stuff, like, but I will say it speeds up the end of the games. You don't get a million timeouts to stop the clock. You don't foul. You don't get these fouls to stop the clock. It's just like the game just flows at the end. I don't know.
Shout out to the CEBL, the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Their CEO Mike Morial for bringing a great league of basketball to Canada. Just absolutely great. They, their league began. It was established where they decided, you know what, we're just going to go Elam ending. We're going to go Elam ending for all the games, and it's amazing to watch. It really is. Like I genuinely have watched a lot of CEBL games, and it's fun. Like it just makes basketball so much more fun. The end of games feels like everything's on the line, and yeah, the game ended probably the way it should have, Kyle, with the LeBron game-winning shot. That was fun. We talked about the All-Star weekend quite a bit. I know we probably talked about it more than the Hornets game, but guys, guess what? It's one of those games. So looking at the future schedule, like I said, the Atlanta Hawks are tomorrow for the Raptors, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. They get one day off, actually, and then it's the Brooklyn Nets. Ben Simmons, I don't think he's going to be playing, but again, it's another back-to-back. This isn't really fair for Toronto. What is this back-to-back, one day off and another back-to-back? Like, what is happening? So Monday is Brooklyn, Tuesday is Brooklyn, and then they get only a single day off, and then it's Detroit, and they never win versus Detroit. But guess what? You guys read that, or that, sorry. Am I pointing at? Yeah, I am. Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic is likely to return on Monday. Oh man, this is gonna be so much fun. Yeah, one of the biggest, I think, villains. I think we can say that one of the biggest villains in Toronto Raptors history. I mean, he was a villain before he was even traded to Toronto. So it's gonna be fun. He signed with the Brooklyn Nets for the remainder of the year after getting bought out. So, I mean, I don't know. Without OG, it's gonna be tough. It's Atlanta, I don't know if that's a given, Kyle, but I think I'm going to take the safe bet. I'm going to say Raptors go 2-2 over the next 4.
I think this is 4-0. I mean, it depends. Is KD back?
KD is not back, no.
Okay, so yeah, it's 4-0. I mean, even that Brooklyn team with Ben Simmons doesn't scare me. They've lost like they're like 5-20 or something like in their last 25. They're terrible. And the Hawks don't scare me. I am back, and the Pistons don't scare me. Give me 4-0 ish. I think that tonight is like just a weird aberration. They shot poorly from 3. The Raptors did, and that's it. Like it can't be this bad all the time. And if they are actually worse than 4-0 in this stretch, I'm going to start being a little concerned because these are all games they should win.
So 3-1, you're going to be concerned? I think 3-1's fair. I mean, to be fair, we never beat Detroit. I don't know what we never beat Detroit, and Detroit is just horrible. So I don't know. I'm gonna stick to 2-2. I know people are gonna say Sahal's the Debbie Downer, blah blah blah, pessimistic. I'm gonna say both wins come against Brooklyn, and we drop another one versus Detroit, and we drop it versus Atlanta tomorrow. We'll see. I mean, 4-0, I'd be super happy. So I win either way. Kyle, any final thoughts on the Raptors and these last few games?
I mean, like literally anything's an improvement on tonight. So I'm taking anything, like as long as they're losing by less than 32, that's a win for me.
Before you all leave us tonight, guys, do not click that X. I know your mouse is hovering over it. I know what you're thinking. Just like the stream before you go. Comment if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. This was the Wrap Up Your Raptors Republic post-game live show. Funny enough, we said we were only going to go 25 to 30 minutes today, but I don't know how we found a way to go an extra 30 minutes. You could probably blame me. I never stopped talking. Your Toronto Raptors were defeated by the Charlotte Hornets 125 to 93, 32 and 26 on the season. Thank you to our producer, Don Yang, who's in the background. That was it for myself and Kyle Brickman. We'll see you guys all tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that, because the NBA does not want to give the Raptors a break. Peace.